Hey everyone, it's Fox from modelmaking.guru here with a new video series. We're going to be building the DeAgostini Millennium Falcon studio scale. This is a part work released by DeAgostini in their famed tradition. 100 parts, and each week they send you a few bits. It is a one-to-one scale replica of one of the filming miniatures of the Millennium Falcon. They have chosen to reproduce probably the best known of them, the, I think, 32-inch Falcon filming model from Empire Strikes Back. Widely held as the best one of all the ones Lucasfilm built. It is mastered and tooled by, I forget his name, but he's the guy from Master Replicas who designed and tooled, apparently, the Master Replicas Falcon, which is about 10 years ago, which to date is probably the most accurate Millennium Falcon model you can have. It was a studio scale replica, similar to this. If you know me, you know I've been building the Fine Molds 1/72nd model, and that's, consumer-wise, the most accurate one you can get. The Master Replicas one, long out of production, is more accurate than that. The Master Replicas one now goes for thousands of dollars, and was expensive at the time. This one, the DeAgostini one, is 100-part work, and over the course of the whole series, which is about, I think, 2 years, getting all the bits, it's going to be about 900 quid. So it's not cheap, but when you think you're getting a studio scale replica, it's not bad actually. He claims that this will be the most accurate one, purely because in designing and tooling this, he realised that on the Master Replicas one there were various things missing, and they were missing because on the filming miniature bits had fallen off and nobody realised. So for example, there were various plates around the upper quad turrets that were missing on the filming miniature, so they didn't reproduce them. However, in research for this, he's come across images of bits that were missing and missed off the model when he checked it out originally. So he's added those as well. So this should hopefully be the most accurate. So let's crack on. This will be I'll do a little video every time one turns up. I'm going to completely build it, repaint it, and make it look fantastic and weather it. Well, I hope fantastic. I'm not blowing my own trumpet there. But I'm going to completely rework it. It does come pre-painted. It contains metal parts, plastic parts, and electronics for lighting and so on. And I'm going to redo it completely. It probably won't be a lot of painting in the first, I don't know how many episodes, because what I'll probably do is, for the exterior, I probably want to have most of it built and ready for paint, because I want to paint it all in one go. I want to make sure my colours match. I don't want to be painting one bit now, and then 2 years down the line paint another bit, and I've not quite got the same colour. Same with the weathering. I want all the weathering to be consistent and not mismatch. In terms of the interior, because it does come with an interior, we're on uncharted territory there, because I don't know what parts there'll be, so I don't want to build and paint a whole section, and then find there's 5 more parts to put in that now it's really difficult because I've painted it already. So it might be a case of building all the separate sub-assemblies first and getting everything together and then doing the painting. So what I'll probably do is label each of these videos, whether it's just a build or just a paint. If it's now 2017 and there's like 200 videos in this playlist, which I don't know how many there'll be, but probably millions, and you're just interested in the painting and weathering, then just skip forward to the ones that are marked as painting or painted or whatever I decide to mark them as. We'll go through that then. If I do, I might do some bits before then, so we'll play it as it goes. Anyway, the first issue has arrived. Stop all the waffling, sorry. First issue has arrived. What do you get? You get the magazine, which we won't really focus on too much. Nice little magazine. Has lots of background information about the ship itself. It purports they'll also go into a lot of stuff about Star Wars lore and other ships and vehicles. Lots of technical information. Information also on the model itself and the filming miniature, how they built it, and it compares. It's got lots of nice shots of the filming and miniature itself. If you're interested in making Star Wars model, it's pretty cool. I suspect you'll have a lot of reference material. There'll probably be pictures in here that haven't been widely available before, so that will be cool. It also, most importantly, answers the question of how do those turrets work? Because if you look at the Falcon turret, somebody should be sitting like this, up and down. If you think about the turrets, they're pointing that way and that way, yet when they sit there, they're looking at each other and they look like the set. It answers that question. If you ever wonder how exactly you sit in those turret things because they face the wrong way, that answers that question. And it's a really obvious answer, and it's a bit of a cop-out, but I'll let you find out. So you get the magazine. That's fine. I don't know how they're going to pad 100 issues with information, but it's all cool. It's good. You also get the parts, which I'll go over in a second. You get a little guide, which is just a quick introduction to the series, what you're going to be doing. Nice close-up picture of the actual, I assume that's this model, what it'll look like. I suspect this has been painted and weathered on top of what you get, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It just gives you an idea of what you can expect in the next couple of issues. And lastly, which I can't show you on camera, but I've got a still shot I'll put in, you get this massive, if I can even show you this, I can't even show you a part of this without zooming out. I can't even zoom out, my camera's fixed. So, and you get this enormous blueprint, which is the size of the finished model. I'm just trying to fold it here. It's like folding an A to Z. Let me give you an example. Here's the upper quad turret. Here's my hand. You can see how big this model is going to be. I'll just pop a still shot in now of this blueprint on my workspace, and you'll understand why I'm starting to think, how the hell am I going to build this in my workspace? So here's the still shot. Right, so as you can see, it is rather large. So it's a really sweet blueprint. On the back it shows all the interior frame and the exterior plating, so you can see where it's going to go. So it's going to be useful to figure out where I'm going. Right, so let's crack on with the parts. I don't want to dwell on this too long. Issue 1. What do you get? You get a piece of hull plating. You get all the metal parts for the upper quad turret. 2 bits of metal armature. This is the frame that the bodywork will go on. They don't relate to this, I don't think, yet. You get the cockpit floor. You get the cockpit back wall, and you get a funky sticker to go on the back wall. I'm not decided if I'm going to stick this on yet, because I was going to repaint the cockpit, but this is kind of black, so I was going to paint it like a dark grey with some black washes, but I can't do that now. So I'll probably have to keep it black. I'll repaint this anyway. But I might wait for the door insert to come in. I'm not sure yet. I might put this on. I'm a little nervous about stickers because I'm a wet can't get my words out. I'm a proper decal man. I want to put my decal on and adjust it. It says you can put it on and slide it around. I just hope it fits. This back wall part has holes in there, you can see, for light to shine through from behind, because this has some translucent parts. And the light will shine through, and it will look like dials and readouts, which is kind of neat. I think they're similar on the dashboard as well, because there will be lighting in this kit, which is kind of awesome. So, yep, you get that part. The light will shine through here. Now, I actually saw, I'll tell you now, I saw a video, I can't remember the guy's name. When DeAgostini did this, they released the first 4 issues about, I think, a year ago, with some test parts, just to gauge people's interest. And the parts that came in it were a bit, they were alright, they weren't brilliant, they weren't very detailed. And I looked at it and thought, I don't like that, it's not very accurate, I'm not going to bother. But then I saw a video of the new parts which you get now when you order it, and these are much more detailed. I think I could be wrong, but in the original release, the first 4 magazines, it looked like the parts were basically the fine moulds parts scaled up. The seats looked exactly the same, the cockpit floor looked exactly the same, and I was like, have they just like tooled up big versions of the fine moulds one just to get some parts out there for the test release? But I'm quite happy now that these new re-release parts, see if I can zoom in on that a bit, are quite nicely detailed. Previously you didn't get any of this, but you've got lots of little markings on there. They'll be ripe for painting. The little twiddly thing in the middle. I don't know how you can see any of this, or if you can. But it gives you a nice bit of detail, which hopefully bodes well for the rest of the kit. And for the, I'll show you the sticker actually. The sticker is really nicely detailed. Lots of little dials and bits on there, all in the classic style of the Falcon. I can't say to how accurate this is because I can't remember or find a really clean reference shot of the back wall. So that's the nice back wall. What else do we have? Now we have the main hull plating. The way you read the descriptions of the material that comes out about this model kit, it says it's fully painted and weathered and everything else. And it's very accurate. Now, as to the accuracy of this piece, I can't complain. This is stunningly detailed, nice and crisp, and as far as I can see, spot on accurate. I'll show you a still shot now, just to get an idea of size. I've taken a picture of this piece compared to the same part on the Fine Moulds 1/72 scale Falcon. So I'll just show you that picture now. So you can see how big it is. It's more detailed, obviously, because it's huge. But the one thing that strikes me is it's not painted. It's basically cast in the right colour and then given a black wash. So, okay, that kind of works. I mean, if you're a young modeler or you're inexperienced or you don't intend on painting it, it'll probably look absolutely brilliant once it's all built up, as long as this weathering is consistent throughout the build. Obviously they manufacture these in different times, I guess, and so it's possible there may be variations between the weathering and even between the panel colouring. I don't know. I've seen one video where there's two panels completely different colours, so we'll see. But I'm going to be repainting it, so this is going to be an absolute dream. So I'll paint over all this. I mean, you know, for a out of the packet part, it's not bad actually. I've seen worse. It's not a bad black wash, but I'll be doing a lot more than just giving it a black wash. I'll be using oil paints, I'll be discolouring it, I'll be spattering it with the toothbrush, I'll be doing all kinds of things on it. But so far that's pretty spanky, very accurate. I like it, and it's massive. So there you go. And then to the quad turret. Now, some of the parts in this kit will be made of metal. I don't know what metal it is, probably aluminium, I don't know. It's cast, so it's from a mould. So, if you can see, if I can focus it for you, very nicely detailed. If you can, let me put these down, I'll zoom in a bit. This will probably be a longer episode than the rest, by the way, because this is the introduction, so I'm kind of waffling on a bit. There you go, it's nice and nice, clear, crisp detail moulded on there. You see that one, if this will focus. If that didn't focus, I apologise. Anyway, it's nice and crisp anyway, you can't really go wrong with that. So that's really nice, and the size of this gun just gives you an idea for the size of the ship. So it's going to be intense. What I'm going to do today, I'll do it really quickly. I don't want to give you a big long video. These have been thoroughly washed. Basically just put them in some warm water with some washing up liquid in there. Give them a good scrub with the toothbrush, and then rinsed off in clean water and then allowed to dry. I've done that because these are cast, these are moulded. So you get seam lines, and you also get mould release agent left on the metal. When you first pick them up, you can feel a slight ickiness. That's just mould release agent, so they can pull it out of the mould. You need to get all that off before you even think about painting it, because that will affect how the paint grips. So I've done that now anyway. It's going to be, I don't know when I'll get to paint these. Done that. What I need to do now is, I don't know if you can see this. I'll see if I can find a bit you can see. Find something black to put it behind. If you can see on here, I don't know if this will come through with the lighting, but there are seam lines down the middle. Don't know how well you can see this, or even if it's in focus, because it's a two-part mould. So on all these pieces there's a mould line down the middle. All I need to do is sand that off, so I shall go and do that now. So let me just go and get my files, and we shall crack on with that. Oh, before I do, just out of interest, to give you another idea of scale, here's the 1/72 scale upper quad turret from my current build at the moment, the Fine Moulds Falcon. Here's the cockpit back wall. That's insane. That's just, it's insane. This quad turret is about the size of the cockpit on the 72nd scale, so this is going to be big. Right, let me go and get me sanded stuff, and we'll crack on with the sanding. Back in a moment. Okay, right, now it's sanding time. I've done most of the metal parts already. Two things we're going to do. One is sanding to remove all these seam lines, which you can probably see there anyway. To give you a better look. You probably see it anyway. Get rid of these seam lines. And secondly, to scuff up the surface, because when you're painting metal, you don't want it to be nice and shiny. You want the primer to grip to the surface. Unless you're using some kind of etch primer, which etches into the metal but gives you a very rough surface. you want to make sure there's some bite on the surface, some imperfections and scratches, just so there's something for the primer to grip onto. So, no real different to when you're doing plastic sanding, except you can use a bit more brute force. First off, I'm just going to give it a quick go with the metal file. It's just this is a B&Q job, Bob standard metal file. All I'm going to do is quickly get a bit hardcore on it, just to get this seam off. Now some of these won't actually be seen once the gun's assembled, so I'm not going to tan on it too much. And some just I can't get to, so there you go. But when you're doing curved edges like this, it's important not just to grind away horizontally, because you'll end up with a flat edge. You want to really follow the shape and keep moving the file around, or if you can move the piece, move the piece. I know you can't see any of this because my hands are in the way. Yay, hands! And all I'm doing is just working down that seam so it disappears. Now I'm not worried that the surface is rough and scuffed. That's absolutely fine. I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on now because it's like plastic filing, but obviously metal's a lot tougher than plastic, so I need to be a bit more aggressive with it. This is quite a big join, so that should be fine. The majority of it's gone. Then I'm just going to get some sanding sticks. I'm using Ultimate Modelling Products sanding sticks. I've really grown to like these over the last few weeks. The thinny sticks are actually really good. This is a reasonably coarse grain. I can't remember the exact grit. Reasonably coarse grain first of all, because now I've got really rough file marks. And this is the kind of process now you use for any metal filing. Reasonably coarse grade just to smooth that down and make it look a bit better. It's a little bit of a tiny seam line, but I can work on that after I finish filming. On this bit as well, this just smooths down some of the big gouges you've put in from the file. I'm sure this is very exciting to watch. And then a finer grade, again one of the thinny sticks. These thinny sticks are great if you need to get into a little area like this and you can just get it in there. This now smooths down the last lot of sanding. Get in there. There's still a little bit of a seam line, but the kind of tiny little seam line now that might disappear once I put primer on it. If not, once the primer's gone on, I'll be able to see any seam lines that are remaining, and then I can sand those down, but that's going to be a while away yet, because I'm not starting on the painting just yet. And last of all, not a complete fine polishing stick, but it's almost a polishing stick, just to smooth it down even more. Get rid of the big gouges, but leave it scuffed. Lightly scuffed now, and that gives the primer something to grip into. When I've done this side, I'll go over, well, I'll do it now, I'll go over the rest of the piece, just to scuff up the surface. I don't want nice, smooth, shiny metal. I want slightly scuffed. And that's all you do. So that side's nice. A little bit there, but I'm not too fussed about that little tiny bit. So that might fill with the primer, and if not, I can sand it further. It's a little gouge. This bit you won't see anyway. I've often learnt that with sanding seam lines and stuff, sometimes you'll get seam lines and panel lines that look like they're part of the thing itself. Like these little ridges here, and then there's a seam line. I can't get into that anyway because it's recessed, but it just looks like a continuation of these little ridges, so I'm quite happy to leave that. I'm not too fussed. Right, so I'll go off and finish this. And then we'll very quickly put the gun together, and then that'll do us for this time. So, back in a moment. Okay, so everything's sanded. Everything's ready to build. So I'll just quickly do this for you. It's not very exciting, but hey, it's first steps. Everything's been scuffed up, so there's some grip for the primer. It's not perfect. There are some little bits I'll still need to work on further, but all I need to do now is just dry assemble this and just put it together just so it's not loose pieces floating around. and so I can see how it goes together. So you have two middle pieces. That's the bottom, I think. We have two plates, which, if I remember correctly, are actually missing off the fine moulds one. Or they're kind of built into it, they're not separate pieces. So, straightforward. These two pieces has a channel here for the arms. Channel here, but there's two slots here. It's a little bit fiddly, but it works. These slide on here. We have to do this on the table because they tend to fall off. Like that, basically. I hope you can see all this. So, let me see if I can shall I zoom in a bit? Let's have a go. See if I can zoom in and not destroy everything. Right, so these two pieces go on the side, and then they stay there, hopefully. I need to drop them onto this piece, which has the two lugs at either side. Fiddly, but it's doable. Oh, yeah, that's the wrong way around. There we go. So, I've got a pointy stick. So this little lugs here. You can't see any of this, can you really? These little lugs here go into the groove, and these two flat bits go in there. And then, dead simply, this other piece sits on top. Now I need to somehow pick this up without making it fall apart. And that is it. Now you just screw it together with these teeny tiny eeny weeny screws. Can't really do this without showing you at the same time. Who's taking bets on if I drop a screw and lose it completely? I'm not going to do these too tight because this is just to get them together. And now you do get a screwdriver in episode or issue 2, but I haven't got that one yet. So this is just a quick dry fit. This is my screwdriver. That'll do. Just want to make sure the screw doesn't come out, but also don't have to keep clamping it together with my hands. So, screw there. And I'll be honest with you, I've not actually read the instructions. I'm just doing this as an assumption as how it goes together, because it is actually really straightforward. Make sure they're in, yep. It's a loose fit. No, not in. It's a loose fit for the moment. And when I build the final one, I'll probably actually super glue all this anyway. But this is just so I don't have loose pieces rolling around. So we have that. These are slightly mobile, but that doesn't matter. And then the beauty of these is, I love the fact the turrets are actually separate, so you can paint them separately. With my other hand it might be easier. They've also got a square peg, so you can't get them sideways or the wrong way around. It's like stickle bricks, this. God, do you remember stickle bricks? There's a throwback from the past. And there we have one loosely put together, but quick construction, just for the sake of storage. If I can focus, quad laser cannon thing set up. That's the underside. So I don't know if you're going to get something to cover over these later on, these screw holes. I hope so. If not, it's not a major job to fill them, although I hate filling. So that is your quad laser cannon. And that's really the only first bit you can build in this issue, apart from sticking the sticker on the back of the wall. But I'm not going to do that now. I think I'm going to wait and see part 2 when I get the doorway, see how that goes together. But that's it so far. So, first steps done. This can only get much, much bigger. Stick with us to the next one when we'll go through part 2. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for joining me on the beginning of this very, very long journey. I don't know what's going to happen when it gets kind of almost fully built, because I won't be able to... Let me just zoom out so you can see. I won't be able to show you the whole thing because it won't fit on in the screen. So we'll have to get creative. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Check us out next time, and until then, take care and adios amigos.